Hello, hello. How y'all doing? This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and we're going to be getting started in a few minutes. Okay, there we go. Okay, is this where you are? Yes. Okay. Hello, hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Have a co-host tonight, Christopher Brown. We are out and about. We are doing Heart Talk on the Move. So if you see me with a seatbelt on, it is because I am driving and doing Heart Talk. I am looking at the road. But the show must go on. We had errands that were taking place and I was out and about, but I wanted to make sure that I was still able to get on Heart Talk this evening. So welcome into Heart Talk. Heart Talk is our weekly life support group. This is where individuals from all over the world come in so that we can do heart work and grow heart equity together. We define heart equity as personal, relational, and financial wealth that we cultivate, grow, and obtain through authentic living. And we've been on this journey for a while. We're getting ready to celebrate 11 years of Heart Talk. September 1st, 2025 will be 11 years of Heart Talk. And I'm really excited about doing Heart Talk. I'm really excited about just this opportunity to come on weekly for us to communicate with one another and just talk about where we are in life. Today, I want to just encourage us to not give up. I had the pleasure of going with a client of mine today that closed on a business loan for a business that she is building, she and her family. And today, I had the pleasure of attending the loan closing with her. I am a licensed realtor based in South Carolina and Georgia, but it was different being a business consultant and coach and doing a closing with the commercial loan in that way with the client, right? It was a great experience for me. I've assisted people along the process, but never really had the benefit of actually being at the loan closing. So today was pretty sweet. And it was just a big reminder to me, and what I wanted to pass on to you all is for us not to give up, right? There are many things that happen in life that would make us want to give up. There are many disappointments that we go through, uh, hardships, shortcomings, shortfalls, shortcomings that could cause us to just want to quit sometimes. And I truly believe that it is those circumstances that really help us to see, like, are we serious about what we're doing? Are we focused on what we're doing? Are we willing to make whatever adjustments are necessary to pursue whatever it is we're pursuing? And for some people, you're just pursuing life. You're just trying to live. You're just trying to make it, and that's enough, right? And it's tough. And I was thinking about that because I know we've in this particular situation, my client, we've talked about for a couple years now, her opening a business, a child care program that really supports the child holistically, right? A child care program that's affordable, but also someplace that families can trust dropping their children off, and also offer non-traditional styles of learning when we talk about public school being the traditional style of learning. And, it got me thinking about some of the situations and circumstances in my life. I can say I've talked a lot about how my life has changed since my mom has passed. But one of the biggest things that has happened is it has really helped me to get more clear on what I need and what I don't need, what I want and what I don't. And sometimes I think when we start talking this conversation about giving up, I think that conversation of giving up a lot of times gets louder because we're more focused on the needs, the wants, the desires of other people instead of ourselves. Now, I'm not saying to be selfish and never care about others. That's not what I'm saying. But one thing I know for sure is when you're on an airplane and you take a flight, every single flight you're ever going to take on an airplane, before you take off, they're going to remind you that in the event of an emergency, there will be a mask that drops down. And it does not matter who you are responsible for on that plane. Your first responsibility is to put your mask on first. So when we think about you focusing on what you need and what you want, it essentially is you learning how to put your mask on first, right? And as I just been processing lately, there have been many situations that have taken place in my life that just simply put, I have wanted to give up. And especially losing my mom, it really made me kind of start to question like my place in the earth. Yes, I have a husband. Yes, I have children. And that did not take away the challenges of giving up because life can get tough. Life can get very tough. And we got to be willing to acknowledge that. We got to be willing to confront that weariness, confront that fear, that worry, that concern, right? I was talking with a member of my team the other day. We were just talking about making plans and just some programs that we have rolling out this quarter for, coming out Q3, Q4 plans and projections for what's to come. And we were just talking about how, I was just telling them, I'm walking by faith. We have a great plan. I feel like it's a good plan to execute and implement. And really, we were talking about working the plan. And I just acknowledged that sometimes it really does feel really hard. And I know I'm putting in the work. I know I'm putting in the effort, but it just seems like the return is in a drip. Like if you think about input and output, right? And you're putting in a lot of work, you're putting in a lot of effort, and then it's like the output of it all can get very wearisome at time. And that goes back to expectations, right? It's about what my expectations are. But my team member was like, I feel the same way. Like sometimes I'm looking like I don't understand. Like why is this so hard? Why isn't this more successful? Why aren't we doing better as far as numbers and things like that are concerned? And of course I can, work at doing something harder. Of course I can work at doing something harder or making sure that I am making sure that I'm, checking off all the boxes. And sometimes in life, that's just what it is. It's not so much about you're not doing it right. It's just a test of your faith. This is just the process. This is just where you are. This is just what you're going through. And what I'm also learning is it's not so much about, like I've heard it said, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you respond, right? So most of your life is going to be based on how you choose to respond to the circumstances and situations that you're going through in life. And so I just want to encourage you to just be authentic in your responses. Be authentic in your expression. Be willing to hope for the best and believe that it can happen for you no matter what. Some people get accustomed to winning, just like some people get accustomed to losing. But in this season of my life, I'm redefining what winning and losing is all about. And that's one of the reasons why I really decided to get on tonight. I don't think tonight will be that long of a heart talk. Because like I said, I'm still out and about heading home, trying to wind the evening down. But I was feeling some doubts about myself and my business and just the work that I've been doing. And then I just started looking over all the things that I've done, all that I've accomplished, all that I've been able to navigate, and also all the families that I've helped and supported, and then also gratitude for all the people that have helped and supported and loved on me as well. And so it gave me running a marathon. I wouldn't running a walk one. So listen, when you're walking a marathon, it's like that push you need to keep going. And I think that some people, like you may be listening now or listening on the replay, and you may feel wearisome. Maybe you feel like you're doing so much and you're just not getting the return that maybe you want or you're looking for. Maybe you feel like you know, your input is not enough. And I just want to encourage you to just be willing and open to see another perspective. Be willing to see your circumstance and your situation from a different vantage point. Sometimes I used to hear this term and I didn't really know what it meant. It says sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. And I completely get that now. Sometimes you're looking at a situation so much, you're obsessing over it so much, you're trying to figure it out so much that it's too fuzzy. You need to zoom. It's almost like having a picture frame and zooming out because you've zoomed in so close. Like when you zoom in so close on your camera till it's blurry and it's hard to see. And then sometimes you zoom out and you have a picture that's so clear because you had to zoom out to get a better perspective of what you were looking at the same thing, but you needed to expand your vision. You needed to look at it from a higher space or from a wider space so you can have a more accurate account of what's going on in your life. And I just want to remind you that you are doing a great job. You are figuring it out because one, you're here. You didn't give up, right? Number two, like don't beat yourself up, right? Everything that we're going through is information. We choose if we want to label it as good or bad, but it is what it is. It could be good or it could be bad. It's all about perspective, right? And when you start to embrace that way of life, life gets better. And the other thing I want to encourage us all to do is to practice an attitude of gratitude. Because when your attitude is gratitude, it increases your altitude, right? The more grateful you are about your life, the more great gratitude you can focus on in your life, the better quality of life you're going to live, right? Whatever you focus on multiplies. If you focus on what's working, that's going to multiply. If you focus on what's not working, that's going to multiply. So be cautious on what you're thinking about. Be cautious on what you believe. Really spend time working on capturing any thoughts that are not aligned with the life that you want to live. That's a discipline. That's a discipline that many of us have to constantly work on because it's always something chipping away at us, enjoying life, right? That's just the truth of the matter. But there's always something that we can be grateful for as well. So I just want to, share that with y'all. Chris, did you have anything you want to share? No. have a co-host. He's really not mini because he's bigger than me. And I have my co-host here with me tonight because he was at a workshop. He was at a workshop this evening, which I think was so exciting. And he said he enjoyed himself, right, Chris? And now he wants to go to bed. I have an artist on my hands, y'all. He's very creative and he loves to work with different mediums. And today it was clay, right? And and another reason, and you know what? That's another thing I want to encourage you to do. Be creative. I've been talking about this a lot, and I feel like when you allow yourself to create and operate from your form of creativity, whatever that may be, it enhances your quality of life. It really does help you feel better. It improves your mood. It's good for your body, your mind, your soul. So I really encourage us to be creative. When you feel like you want to give up, sometimes in life you want to give up or you want to quit because whatever you're doing is stagnant, it's stale. And maybe it's you to allow the creativity that is within you to come out. I think some of us live very miserable lives. Honestly, we live below our means because we refuse to allow our creativity to make room for us. Me doing Heart Talk is a part of my creativity. I feel like the Lord gave me Heart Talk as an assignment, as a space, like it's like a space holder, right? A place in the world where I stake my claim and say, hey, we're gonna do hard work together, we're gonna grow together, right? And it's really like a venting space. I was feeling my emotions were all over the place today, just kind of thinking about my future, my businesses, and just what I want to do for me. And then I started thinking about creative things. I started being grateful for what I had and what's here, and it really started to shift and to show me, girl, you're doing a lot more than you realize. And just keep up the great work because it's all going to pay off. And keep being creative. I'm creative with my words. I can be creative with crayons, and I can be creative with paint, and I can be creative with written words, right? I like to write poetry and things like that. But what are you creative with? Maybe you're creative in the kitchen. Maybe you're creative with a sewing machine. Maybe you're creative with math equations. I don't know. But I can promise you, if you nurture that creativity in you, it will give you a boost in life and make you want to keep going. And that's important. That's really important. I had some other things that I said I wanted to share tonight, but I feel like many of us are living in a world where you are not it is you are not lacking information about how to get something done. You are not lacking information about what you need to do, what you didn't do, what you didn't get right. That's always prevalent when we're, thinking about that. I just wanted to be that space to remind you that you got this and you can get through it. And it really doesn't matter where you are in your life. You can start from that location to get to whatever destination you want to be in if you put your mind to it and stay focused on it no matter what. And that's essentially what I wanted to share with you all this evening. Like I said, I'm still out and about, heading home, almost home, but just wanted to stay true to Heart Talk. Just wanted to just always have this space open for us to come and just be able to reflect and be able to uplift and encourage one another. And I know that people will come back and listen to the replay. I know that a lot of people have been going through grief and a lot of uncertainty in their lives. But I just want to encourage you, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, just don't give up. You got this. Okay? Is there anything that you would like to share? Anything you'd like to share, Ms. Connie? Good evening to you.
Hi, how you doing? You're kind of breaking up, I guess, because you're in the
Oh,
car.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Let me turn the volume up. All right, maybe.
Hi. Yeah, I was listening to what you said. You're kind of breaking up because you're in the car, I guess. And it's really odd when you were talking about that because I was just thinking about just the idea that sometimes when we don't think we're moving, we're always moving because nothing can be stationary because there's always movement. But the reality is sometimes when I think I'm not moving, because I can't see anything, I'm actually going forward, but it's hard to see if you haven't got to your destination yet. And the other thing that I was thinking is that because I'm always changing, sometimes when I have a destination in mind, as I go on the journey, the things that I want to see change because it kind of opens up my eyes, you know? So sometimes I start out with a certain destination, and I think that anybody that's listening, that we got to kind of have to be careful that we don't make ourselves stick to the original destination we had in mind, because as we go on the trip, our thoughts may change. And sometimes we try and keep ourselves on the same. No, no, no. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. When the world is trying to open up our vision to open it up more, you know? So I really enjoyed our talk today. Just one more thing that I was thinking about, and man, it's gone. This 71-year-old brain, it just lost it. I I hate that. But I really hate that because there was something that I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta tell you this, I gotta tell you this because I remember what it is now. Okay, sorry. There's only been a minute. What you were talking about what we say to ourselves, our subconscious doesn't differentiate between truth and fiction. So, whatever it is I tell myself, my subconscious gets to work trying to create it for me. So, if I say to my subconscious that I want to be rich, then what my subconscious does is keep me poor. Because what I'm actually saying is right now, I'm poor. So my subconscious doesn't get that in the future I want. When I say I want, it starts making whatever it is that I say I am and giving me more of it. So I try to be really careful with what I say to myself, knowing that whatever I say, that my subconscious is going to get busy trying to make it come true. So I love you guys. Thank you for letting me share something, Ale.
No, thank you. And I listen. You just open up a lot for me because what you just said, I feel like just happened to me this afternoon. I was doing real estate. I was out doing the showing or whatever, doing some showing, and I really felt like I heard, I just heard a very subtle voice tell me to do something. And when you said what you said about how we can have a destination, but when we get going on the journey, sometimes you realize that where you intended to go originally or initially is not actually where you want to go from now. It really makes me think of like pulling over to gas up along the journey and just kind of realizing, hey, I don't want to go in this direction. I'm gonna go somewhere else. You know what? I feel like life is calling me east instead of going west. Um, so I really appreciate you sharing because that touched me. Like that really, really touched me in a very, very like personal, sincere way because I feel like that's what life is doing for me right now. I feel like for a very long time, I've tried to force myself in a box. And it's a big box. So I've also tried to convince myself I'm not forcing myself. But if I be honest, which that's what hard talk is for, right? I don't know if I really want to do it. it's a good thing. It's honorable. And I really believe that God in his graciousness this is why he's not allowing certain things to take off the way I envision them. Because deep down he knows you don't want it. You like you want it. You want what it could do. You want that feeling. But I feel like I'm being called to hold that back to what you mentioned about the subconscious. Like a lot of people don't really understand that. I have a feeling that I can feel that I know is real. And I feel like what the Lord is trying to teach me is that my little finite mind will never really understand how he wants to allow me to feel that way. How he wants to, that was already in the cards for me. How it's supposed to be done, that's not my concern. Just being open to it happening and just staying there. And you really are reminding me of that because it's already mine. And if I already have it, whatever that it is, I realize that it's not money per se. It's money is, the Bible says money answers all things. It's not demonizing money, but understanding that peace of mind and having a very good self-image and awareness of self and an openness to all that is available to you is so much more wealth than any finite thing you could count, you could conjure up, whatever. It's and the money or the resources, whatever, they will follow. Like, because it's like a byproduct of being in that. I don't know. I just feel like your sharing tonight has just made me. It's this space I've been talking about it maybe for about 5 years now, 5 or 6 years now, and I feel like the more I'm having to release and let go, the more it's like the louder it gets. It's almost like the light at the end of the tunnel. The more I release and let go, the brighter the light gets. So I just feel like what you did tonight was there. It's like I see things in like images. It was almost like there was like a leaf that fell on the light, and then like you said what you said, and it's like a little wind that just blew that leaf right off the light, and now it's bright again. And I was like, this is where I want you to be. I want you to be in the mindset of don't give up, but also be willing to release what doesn't serve you so that you can be open to what does. That's essentially what I got from what you said and what I'm saying. I feel like you helped me even more. And this is why I love Heart Talk. Because self-fully, if nobody else gets on, if I can get a breakthrough, hey, it's worth it. I'm important, right? If you can share and give, if it's just, look, I love the conversation. I love the dialogue. It is definitely like I needed that because I believe what I'm called to, the things that I'm called to, I don't think it's a one thing. Okay, thank you, buddy. I made it to a stationary point now. So if y'all see me looking at the camera, I'm no longer driving. I promise you. Y'all might think I'm like Evil Knievel on that highway, and I'm not anymore. But yeah, I literally, and I think that being in survival mode for so much of my life, it's always been either or. Because that's what it is in survival. When you operate in abundance, it's both and. And that in and of itself takes a lot of work to shift. That is a paradigm mindset shift that has to happen. That needs to happen for that to happen. I'm just really setting in on how much I need to hear that. And it's so funny because you can hear things, you can hear it more than once, you can hear it in different settings, but then when it hits you, And for me, I'm gonna tell you why I think, just in processing it out loud, it hit me because I used to do heart talk. I do feel like this is a call. But for so long, I didn't feel worthy of it because I feel like the conversations are so rich in faith, in they're very, I feel very authentic, very vulnerable. And I just unfairly judge myself. I was just being very critical of myself, and I thought that I was doing myself a favor by being like that. And I wasn't. And so I did hard talk out of love, but also out of almost like obligation, like how people think they can be good enough for God to love them. Like you feel like it's back to wounds, trauma, healing from that, and it's funny because like, and I want to go off on that caveat too, because if we could put a finger on where the trauma came from or not, I realize that's neither here nor there. It's about dealing with that pain and when you're triggered, so that those triggers, when I think about a trigger, it's like pow, pow, bam, bam, you get shot, right? And when you get triggered and you're not self aware, you really are shooting people, you're hurting them a lot of times. So the trigger is not for whoever caused this, how this thing happened. The trigger is to help. You're triggered, but you don't stay there. You work around what's causing it, so that you pretty much unload the gun. You unload the clip. So there's still a trigger in the gun, but it's not going to kill nobody, right? Like, I understand. And then sometimes that gun just might, you no longer triggered it. It doesn't even come out the case. There's no need for it anymore. Um, I will say that. And so now tonight doing heart talk, one night it was busy like this because my week is very top heavy. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are usually really, really, really busy for me. Thursday morning, and then it starts to kind of taper off. And so I will get home late on Tuesdays, not intentionally, because I know I have heart talk, but it just happens like that sometimes. And a couple of weeks I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I don't do that a lot. But the last time I did it, Christopher was like, Mommy, I want you to do heart talk because people like hearing your voice and you need to do heart talk. And I was like, people like hearing my voice? Okay, Chris. But it's like out of the mouth of babes. Like, listen to what he's saying, hear what he's saying. He has an expectation of you, but it's not a performance. What I also heard him saying was, I think there's value in what you're saying, and I think you should keep saying it. And so, getting on tonight, what I noticed since I relaunched Heart Talk for the 10 years, like back in September of last year, now we get ready to go into 11. But as I've been healing and really embracing it, it's like I look at it like I love the little drummer boy. This is my drum. Like, this is one of my drums. Like, a drummer can play a snare drum. They can play like the gong. They can do the cymbals. They can play different percussion things, but they use like, and I feel this is a part of my toolbox. This is a part of my music box, for lack of a better term. I'm not a musician, so I'm sure y'all call it something else. Please forgive me. But it's like, this is a part of that. And I embrace that. So if Miss Connie wasn't on here, I may have already gotten off or not. I don't know. But the I appreciate you being on here because your share added so much to what I wanted to talk about. And I'm always thinking about how can we bless the people, but also understanding that in me operating in my creativity, like I talked about earlier, it's always going to bless me. That's where the input and the output conversation from earlier comes from. So we have to be willing to, back to perspective from earlier, you have to be willing to see your life and see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you don't have to, but then you also don't want to feel good or enjoy your life either. Like, you can choose not to. But don't be surprised when you're unfulfilled. Don't be surprised when you snappy and all the things, because like that's what's going to happen. And I guess, for me right now, it's just like I'm just really proud of myself. Like, no matter what has been happening and what I've been going through, I value myself enough to stay consistent in this. This isn't about other people. Before it was. Before it was about, well, I said I was going to do this thing, and I don't want people to think I'm not consistent. And I mean, that's okay. That's still a thing, but it ain't the thing. That ain't why I'm on here in the dark looking weird on this camera right now. I'm doing that because I needed this conversation, not even knowing what the conversation was going to be. But because of what Heart Talk is, our life support group, look what I got. Life support. When I think about life support, I think about them putting that machine on you, like clear, you get that jump, and a lot of people come back. That's why it's so effective. And I needed that boost because it's like I didn't even want to be down. And it was like things kept weighing, and I kept looking for the light. And coming on to Heart Talk, it's like all down to Chris leaving his workshop, and he had some pizza, and I was so proud of him. Some people be embarrassed by this, right? And not me. Like, I'm just learning, right? Christopher was like, the pizza was good and nobody else wanted anymore, so I brought some home. We got some pizza for dinner, or I can eat it for lunch tomorrow. Way to go, 13-year-old. Way to go, being, responsible and just thinking ahead and not being prideful and worrying about if people going to judge him for taking pizza home because nobody else was doing it. Because I know I've been guilty of that. I know a lot of people, they'll say things like that. But he also knows that his mom works in the daytime. He does virtual school. He is responsible for finding things to eat, and I don't lay it out for him. So he was, and I said, well, Daddy's cooking dinner. He was like, well, got lunch for tomorrow. Yes, that's a win. For me, it was a reminder. So what'd you say? You didn't feel successful? Hey, input, output. Look what you're putting into him. That's the output. He's thinking ahead. Now that's the one last thing for you to be concerned about tomorrow. And that might not be a win for somebody else, but it's a win for me. That my 13-year-old can think on his own, because a lot of kids aren't that independent now. But clearly we're putting something into this child that he's thinking a little bit ahead and out of the box responsibly, right? So I'm just thankful. And I'm thankful for the reminder that the GPS of life is always redirecting. And you know what? Another thing too, sometimes when you're driving with a GPS and you think you know the way, you don't look at the route. The GPS was trying to reroute you, protect you from a traffic jam. Now you look up and you see the red line on the screen and you're like, what's going on? And you realize you've been distracted. You're just driving, not paying. I am you. I am she, her, him. That's me. I've done that before. And just going back to what you said, Miss Connie, I'm allowing the redirection. I'm allowing it. I'm a trust the path. It's something going on. Whatever that means, I won't fight it. I don't have to sit in the traffic jam. Yes, go ahead, unmute.
When you said that, I just didn't want to forget. What I was thinking when you were talking about the GPS is, you know how we ask for some direction, but then we think we know what it is that we're supposed to do. So we don't really listen because we think we already know. So we can't get the different information because we think we already know. You're on that tell. I already know. When what is going on is the person's trying to tell us a different way of looking or seeing and stuff, and we miss it. So you look down, and that's what happens. I think about this sometimes when you give someone some information And like you tell them, okay, well, I think you should do this, and they follow your direction, right? And they get this really good response, then something happens and they try and fix it by themselves instead of coming back to you and saying, okay, well, this happens, to collaborate with you. So then they get all upset because all they got is what they're thinking, because they think that coming back means that they're less, when really going back to where you got some information and asking, okay, so this happened, is not a weakness. That means that you're actually strong and you're smart, because the smart person goes to look and get a different perspective to add to what they got, and they don't just go on their own. They can take what someone else has to give, even if it's different, even if it looks like, I don't know. Sometimes you got to try some stuff. If it's not going to hurt you, sometimes you need to try it, because you're not going to get a different result if you keep doing the same thing. And I was thinking about what you were talking about with Chris, and what I see is energy. And that energy, so it's not that what you're putting in him, it's like y'all together are increasing the energy that's flowing in between you. And that energy is moving into different areas, and it's moving different ways that you two alone could not do it, but it's the combined energy that is moving in these different ways, and having him thinking in a different way, having him pushing you, because you guys are pushing each other. Isn't this a marvelous thing? Okay, I just couldn't keep that. I thought I might forget
No,
it.
thank you. No, please. And whenever it hits you, just unmute. I'll be listening out for you. But no, I thank you for that, because he don't know what he did for me. But that night I didn't do hard talking. He was like, I noticed you did. First of all, I've been doing hard talk since he was 2. So this is a part of his life. It's more a part of his life than it's not. But for him to kind of matter of factly, that's your birthday twin. So y'all are very direct. I don't know. There must be something to these signs for real. Cause that boy don't play with us. None of us. You say something that don't make sense, he gonna address it. You walking around like something wrong with you, no passive aggressive. He will address it. Sounds like that was a sarcastic comment. Is everything okay? I mean, Chris is like what I need in my life right now. And all of us, the whole family, we need that. That's and you're so right. Because when he did that, I was tired. And I said, well, I'm driving, so help me get everything together. And so I won't like disregard the fact that he's here and he can help me, because I'm so used to being independent. So even you talking about coming back and asking for help, me again. So it's like, just that reminder. I think that's the biggest thing I'm learning. Just letting this child help me set the thing up, and him saying, you need to do it, even if you don't do the whole thing, but you need to do it because this is what you do. And I was like, yes, you're right. This is what I do. This is my thing, right? And I enjoy it. This is my drum. This might be the snare drum. I might have another drum for another thing, right? But this is what I'm doing, and I enjoy it. And wherever life wants to take me in this or something else, I'm open. But what I realized what I was doing was I'm open, but I'm not. And now it's like I just that thought that hit me earlier today is like, because I immediately would go through the how. And I stopped myself. I was like, I don't need to worry about the how. I just need to be open to the opportunities and the potential of whatever is next, and embrace it, because it's all a part of my journey. And even changing things from, if I could look at the loss of my mom and be able to say, I don't have to call it bad or good. Like it is what it is. I was not there. I was not there. And I might not be there at another time, but right now I can see it for the I can see the blessings that have come out of that, in the sense of, from a personal level, that I wouldn't even have known could have come out of it if I wouldn't embrace just the reality of what it is. That's it. And And then I open up all these other possibilities that I didn't even know could even be possibilities because I wasn't open. And that's honestly, that is deeper than a lot of people can really think. It really is, because it sounds like foolishness until you realize you don't know what you don't know that you don't know. Listen to that again. You don't even know what you don't know that you don't know. So, like you said, be open to try something new. I might think it's going to hurt me. If it's not like a blatant hazard warning, dangerous, it might not hurt. I may be triggered. It might be what I need, but because it reminds me of a past hurt that I'm not that slow to heal, apparently, clearly, I could be hindering walking into my healing balm because it looked like it might hurt. So that all ties into don't give up. It just all ties into don't give up. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep going forward. We're gonna keep I appreciate you, Miss Connie, understanding that you have a lot to offer and being willing to offer and share. I really do. I appreciate the perspective. And I have learned that my grandma used to always say, keep on living. And I realized that sometimes people could share a perspective with you that is so shifting and out of the box that you don't even want to hear it. But it's exactly what you need to hear to challenge the limitations that you've accepted, because they're made up. They really are. And I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to keep I'm just being reminded that I wanted to create a safe space for others. And I just was so lovingly reminded that this is a safe space for me too. So I'm not asking people to come on here and be vulnerable and open up if I'm not willing to. But it's just so healing. It's so cathartic. And I'm thankful. So that's really all I got for real. You have anything you want to share before we close out, Miss Connie?
I just wanted to say that what you just said about someone saying something and you just can't get with it because I cannot hear what you're saying if it's not close to something that I already know, right? So that just means that I got to get to the big idea in increments. So if you tell me something, and this could be because I am in recovery, and I learned early in recovery that people were going to say stuff that I'd never thought of, that I couldn't even comprehend. But if it was close to something, it was just a small step away from what I already knew, then I could take a chance and try the new way, you know? The other thing I wanted to say, so for me, there's two ways of learning. The thing that's just a step ahead, like if you were in school and they're teaching math, just the next step in
Mm-hmm.
learning that
Mm-hmm.
you can get to. And then there's leap, the way of learning, the leap where you don't get it until something comes up in your life that's exactly like what they just said, and it dawns and you remember that so and so told you that, aha, this is what they meant. So there isn't just one way of learning, and there's probably more than that, but there's the progression where we go like a step at a time that you learn, and there's the leap where you leap from something that you thought was nutty, and then you get the experience and realize, oh yeah, this is what they meant.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that because what you do is, it's not me, what I've told you before, it's the electricity, it's the energy that we share together that is popping off between the two of us that allows us to get to a place that neither one of us would have got to by ourselves. And
Mm,
the same thing when you were talking about Chris, it's the popping off and that interchange of energy that gets you to a place that you wouldn't have been to by yourself. So
mm.
that's why communication and interacting with other human beings and stuff is so important because we learn so much from each other. That's all I got to say. We're gonna is this talk gonna go? I don't want to go over your time.
You good? You're right. We right where we need to be. We're good. We not overtime. We right. This is perfect right where we are. Um, I thank you for sharing that. I can say that in my life, I can speak to the incremental understandings, and I can speak to the leaps. And different circumstances in life will make you think about that. It made me the one story that is very loud right now I want to share as I close out, because um I feel like I experienced this in my relationship with restoration with my mom and my dad. It was a lot of incremental things that took place, and then there were big leaps of things that took place. I remember when my grandmother used to tell me I need to forgive my daddy. And when like 15, 16, 17, that was the leap. There was not increments for that for me. And I thought she was crazy and she was too nice. And ain't no way God want me to forgive this mean man. And to think about how I feel about him now and the leaps and increments that took place over those 20 plus years that I've been on this journey of awareness that I got to do something about this, whatever that is. Um, Honestly, what God has done for me internally when I think about my mom and my dad, it's for me personally, it's like, how can I not believe that anything else is impossible? Like that's how big that is for me from the inside. And I don't think I ever said that like that. But back to what you were saying, having the communication and the interaction in the time and space, certain things just come up. And as much hard work and reflection I do with both of them, like I can honestly say right now I'm having this revelation. Like if that miracle has happened with both of them, how like there's nothing else that can't happen that I don't want to happen or consider. Like that by itself. And it's like, but it was both incremental and leaps. And I'm still learning new ways. And it's still happening. That's the other thing. I ain't even mad no more and it's still happening. That's the piece that's beautiful. I think that's what my mom and I realized that happens when you get on that side of the pasture. You think it's like you get here and you're not angry and you can still deal with things. Wow, this is how it feels to process these things and not be angry. Oh, wow, this feels good. This is pretty delightful, And so, and I just want to share that with others. Well, however, I'm called to do it. And that's where I am. And that's what this is. And that's why we do Heart Talk every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. We are on Zoom and live on YouTube because we have a heart tribe that's across the globe. And we just want everyone to know that when you heal your heart, you transform your life and you transform the world. One thought at a time. Just know that you're doing it. Whether you can see it or not, it's happening. And we can feel it. We all can feel it. So I thank y'all. I thank you for being here with me live in the room. I love you very much, my dear. Thank you for my beautiful bag that I have gotten compliments on since I put it on Saturday. Like I got it Saturday and switched, boom, everything in the new pocketbook. Loving it. I am loving it. I thank you so much. I feel so regal And I really thank you. All I can think about is you and mommy. I feel like my mama whispered on you. It was like, all right, now my child needs some gifts and go ahead and send her some. I always got to tie it back to her. I do. I love you and I thank you. And I love y'all. I thank y'all for being here. I'm thankful for Heart Talk. And we will be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. And remember, the new season of our podcast, The Heartline with Adelai Brown, is live wherever you watch your podcast. And it's also on our YouTube channel for those of you that want to catch it there. So we're doing hard work. We're transforming the world one conversation at a time. Okay. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll be back next week.